ABC has been really interested in different studies around advertising effectiveness, and there's been some studies of note in the press over the past year that have been looking at industry-wide at trying to understand the value that television is driving relative to digital. And it's a space that we really want to understand, not only selfishly for us as we think about kind of media in general, but for our clients in terms that making sure that we care about the value that we're bringing to the table for our clients as well. And so we really wanted to take some of those studies to the next level because one of the drawbacks around some of the studies that we've seen so far is that they're primarily based on syndicated data, which it has its place, but we really want to see if we couldn't find a way to use real, actual data. And then we also felt that it was time to readdress the way that we've defined the different media channels today. That, not just thinking about television in isolation, but thinking about long-form premium content. That consumer experience and what it looks like across different devices, it's still the same experience. And so how do we think about that? So those are some of the main issues we wanted to address, since we ultimately chose to partner with Accenture, in large part because not only of their experience in marketing analytics, both attribution and media mix models, but also because the data that they brought. So they actually were able to create a data set for us of about $12 billion of media spend from their clients. And so these are clients that they do media mix models on behalf of, and they were able to bring this, this data set to us, which includes not only that media spend, but then the actual sales data that's behind it. And so we could do some analysis across these, it's about 20 different brands across 6 different industries that we were able to look at, and really look at some exciting findings that we wouldn't have been able to see prior, just looking at individual brands at a time.
So what were some of the highlights of what you found?
There were 3 big highlights. The first one was around understanding the halo effect of television on digital. And so we've redefined, instead of getting away from the traditional definition of linear television, but thinking about multi-platform television, which is that long-form premium content regardless of the device it delivers on. And we started looking at digital, then redefined then as search, display, and short-form video. We started to see that traditional media mix models overstated the value of digital from an ROI perspective and understated the value of television. In large part because they weren't accounting for that the interaction between those 2 different channels. Once you start to look at that, we actually do see that there's this interaction, that it's about that halo that multi-platform TV drives on digital. The ROI for digital was overstated by about 10%. Whereas the ROI for TV, excuse me, I had it the wrong way. The ROI for digital was overstated by about 18%, and the ROI for television was understated by about 10%. And so it was those sales that had been incorrectly attributed solely to digital, when in reality it was the effect of the 2 working together that was really driving that. So that was a really interesting finding that we found. The second one that we looked at was really trying to understand the long-term effects of sales, the long-term effects of advertising on sales. Most media mix models tend to look at a very short window. In some cases it's a campaign period, a quarter, maybe a year. But we know that television, by its nature, is designed to drive brand awareness and drive the health of a brand over time. We wanted to extend that over a longer period of time. And so Accenture helped us create a model where we looked at a 3-year horizon. And with that, what we found is, and then we explored different media channels, only multi-platform television had this long-term effect that spans years. Now, some of it is not necessarily due to the platform, some of it's just the quality of the creative that's designed for premium long-form content. But we see that $1 spent in advertising in year 1 for multi-platform television continues to work. In fact, in some cases, an additional 1.3x a factor across that 3-year period. And so that long-term effect, if it's not accounted for properly, could lead to some incorrect decisions. And it was actually, there was a presentation earlier today where they referenced that there's looking in that short-term window, sometimes advertisers can be tempted to try to optimize within a short-term time frame and move dollars out of a very expensive, seemingly from an ROI perspective in terms of television, moving it to digital to try to, because it's less expensive, and getting more return in that short term. But once you look at the full long-term effect, the actual ROI across that 3-year period could actually be lower, because you are kind of stealing from your outer years and some of the effectiveness of the brand in order to fund kind of more conversion within the short-term time frame.
So how will ABC be able to put this into practice, what you've found out from this research?
For us, twofold. One is in the conversations that we have with our clients, with our advertisers, it's an opportunity for us to really help them think about the value that multi-platform TV is driving. For us, because it's not just the ads that you can buy on traditional linear television, but how they think about that entire portfolio across devices and that experience for ABC. And so it gives us a chance to reevaluate kind of the overall portfolio of spend and kind of what's going to drive the best value for our clients. The second piece, though, we're actually partnering with Accenture on a phase 2 of this analysis to take it to the next level. We looked at multi-platform television very broadly, but there's still a lot of unanswered questions about day parts, about the length of ads, and a lot of different things with this data set, which is, again, a really unique data set of this $12 billion of spend that we can start to dig into a little bit more and to understand the value of prime time versus daytime, the value of a 30-second spot versus a 15-second spot, things that, again, just the size of this data set allows us to explore. So those are some things that we're interested to get into over the course of the next phase of the study.